At this point, I want to open it up. I want to open it up to questions because there is nothing more valuable than a question. People have said there are stupid questions, but the only stupid question there is the one not asked. So let's give everybody on this call a round of applause. And as soon as the claps stop, you may unmute your mic, and you may ask a question.
So you were talking about focus on the best, surround yourself with the best, and you will become the best. And for me, I've been sometimes judging myself because I compare myself to the successful people that I've been around. So what I realized is that everyone's timing is differently, and just to follow and trust the process and know that you will reach your goals and you will have that success for you, but you have to trust the timing and know that every moment is bringing you into that destination. And the more you manifest in your mind, the more you'll have in the physical.
I love that. Let's give Amy McMurray a round of applause. So Amy and Andrew have moved in with Darina and I so that we can do everything possible to make sure that we're prepped for the summit. We've turned the house into an office. We rented a much bigger house, 3,000 square foot house, and now 6 bedrooms. And we're just like, every day in the living room is a whiteboard conversation. It's, pulling things up and saying, hey, what's going on next? How do we get to the next level? And Karen, if that's a level of commitment that most people are not willing to go to, yeah, it's insane. It's insanity, but it's working. And so we're going to keep doing it. We'll see how things go after the summit, but we may get a much bigger space and bring on a few more people to really crank it up. But right now, we just do whatever we can. I'm so blessed and thankful for all the work Amy's putting into the sales conversations, figuring out what's going on with the community, reaching out to each one of you. I can't build great products. I can't build millionaires if I don't know what your problems are and what your challenges are and what you're going through and what your emotional state is. So Amy has taken that upon herself to do the Millionaire Path consultations, to have these conversations with people and figure out what's going on in their world. Ron, Darina, Felly, you guys can start. Amy, you can start bringing people into the room. Invite everybody in to be panelists so they can ask questions. This Q&A session is open to everybody, and we'll be hanging out here for a little while. So go ahead, ask your questions. First, unmute, go.
I was working with my partner yesterday, work partner, and we're like, why are we not closing? We're real estate investors. And we've been doing this since September, and we haven't closed on our first deal. So what is keeping us from closing on the deals? And he's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, fear. And I started listing off all the fears that I had, and they were all fears of success. When I get this property, then what do I do? Will I fail on this? It was all fear-based, and just being aware of that fear. I'm not sure what to do now because it's a real fear because I've never done it. And I really feel like I need to walk with somebody so that I don't make all the mistakes. So I'm not sure what your advice would be. I know mindset is huge, but how do we get past that barrier so that we can start moving?
Lois, I got 2 people on the call who I know are chomping at the bit to give this answer. I know all the coaches want to give this answer, but I want to put Doug and Terry on the spot here because they are the mindset guys. And Lois, so everything in real estate is mindset. The technical side is the easy part. You read a book real quick, Google it, Bigger Pockets it, right? Or go to Alchemist Nation, read all the stuff. The mindset is what makes you successful. So Terry, you're already unmuted. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is fears are going to be there no matter what, because fear is a natural response to us taking any action. It makes us think about not jumping off a cliff. It makes us think about not putting your hand into a wolf's mouth. However, when we let that thing take over us so that we don't make any progress, our life is a lot less successful and fulfilled. And so when you recognize it's fear, you got to feel the fear, identify what's going on, and do it anyway. The do it anyway is the piece that a lot of people miss. What most people like to do is they like to think it and rethink it and overthink it. And then after they're done doing that, then they think about thinking about it more instead of taking action. This is an action thing. And we talk about the bullet train of action. You have to take action because you have no idea what's going to happen on the other side of the decision. But if you don't make the decision, you can't find out to take the next action. It's always take action, find out what happens, take action, find out what happens, take more action. And so you're in the think about it, fear the answer, think about it, fear the answer, think about it. And that's called backing up. And so my suggestion is take action. You can also jump on a call with us. We can talk about how we help people. You can also go to Generator Business Bootcamp, because that 3 days is all about getting past those mental and emotional fears so that you can start to get on the bullet train of action. So those are my suggestions.
I love that. Let's give Dr. Terry Wager a round of applause. Very good take on it. And I love that you pointed out Generator Business Bootcamp. By the way, we can teach you all the technical skills, but without Terry there showing you the mindset skills to do the things, all you have done is go on to another event and another webinar, which nobody needs another one of those. Hence, Cameron, if you got enough shelf help out there, there's enough things that you bought that you paid for that aren't doing anything. Lois, I'm going to ask Doug McGurk, who traveled with Tony Robbins for 3 years, is the king of mindset, of positivity and overpowering. And we call him Doug the Maximizer. Doug, go ahead, brother.
Right on. Thank you. Well, yeah, Terry's spot on. That fear is there to serve you, so acknowledge it. And courage is taking action in fear, right? There is no such thing as no fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And one of the benefits of going to, the business boot camp and being in this environment is that you're surrounding yourself with people who have been through exactly what you're going through, so they can sort of help you along the way. So, oh yeah, no, I remember when I had that same fear, and here's what I experienced. Here's what I did. So you're in the right place. The next step is dive deeper. The next step is take even more actions and live in the space of action as opposed to thinking about it, right? We can get stuck. And that is the biggest challenge of being a person, is your intellect is the biggest blessing and biggest curse, because you can think yourself out of action. And I bet my beautiful, brilliant wife has something to add too while we're here. No?
Hi.
Heidi Rain, what's up?
I think fear is extremely useful. I think that we have a very, step up, step through, breakthrough kind of thing, which is really nice. But there's also balance in acknowledging the fear as a friend and actually asking it some questions. I actually like figuring out what that root fear is myself. I know that can be like mental. Excuse you on a Saturday morning for saying that word, but
you could say mental.
You can say it here.
I think sometimes if there's one root fear, if there's a fear that permeates all other fears, there's usually an attachment to an old idea or belief system. And what I like to do is get underneath the hood of that and rip that up by the root, because it's one thing to step up, step through, keep stepping through, but that's tiring and exhausting. So if we can really narrow it down and figure out what's really going on there and figure out where that lie was laid in you, because that's what a fear is. It's a lie that's laid in you. And if we can figure out where that fear got implanted and programmed in you, that specific fear, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. There's only 3. I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, or I can't cope. It sounds like the root fear is I can't cope. It sounds like I'm going to excuse me. Sorry. Oh my God. I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to do whatever. So we figure out where that I can't cope came from.
Facebook's like, we can't post this anymore.
Sorry.
No, you've been cursing up all day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you can help yourself.
I did it with one. I did one.
Where that root lie comes from, and then, rip that I can't cope lie up. And then after you do that, you don't have to keep stepping up and stepping through. You just exist with joy and ease and flow. And that's really my aim, is to get in the flow state, not the push through state.
Absolutely.
I don't want to keep stepping up. I just want to step in. I just want
Absolutely.
Lois, what a
lots of
great
different
question.
ways, many ways.
Let's give Doug, Heidi, Terry a round of applause for some great information. And I know all the coaches are like dying to answer this one, but we're going to go to a different question. Let's give Lois a round of applause for being brave enough to admit and acknowledge that the fear of success was her fear. And Lois, so I have broken many arrows with my neck with that fear written at the tip, because that was the one that I was concerned about the most. Will my friends, not want to hang out with me because I'm making too much money? Will I lose it all? Will I make it and lose it? And by the way, because that was my fear, I did do that once. I made $500,000 and I burned it really quickly, got rid of it, lost it on an accident. So you can manifest if you hold on to it. But if you follow the steps that these amazing millionaires are giving you, you can also eliminate that fear, eliminate that belief system, and it will not manifest for you. And that is my deepest hope for you, Lois, is that you realize that once you have the money, you will keep the money. And once you have the money, your friends will not be asking for handouts. They will be asking, how do I learn to do what you've done? Does that make sense? That makes sense for everybody on the call right now who's had that fear, who thought, shoot, might happen. You'll get to keep it. Trust me. You know why? Because you're learning it from us. Millionaires we're not just income millionaires. We're net worth millionaires. We've been able to hold on to it, right? We're still holding on to it. We're multimillionaires because we have the mindset that allows us to hold our wealth. We have the mindset to treat our employees, our staff, our tenants with respect so that they love us, they love paying us, they love working for us. And that's what keeps us afloat, keeps us more than afloat, thriving, because our clients love working with us. Hence, Karen, if that makes sense. If you understand, if you have that right mindset, it'll always keep flowing. Absolutely. Lois, what a great question. Thank you so much. Great share. What else? I'll mute the mics. Go ahead. Your chance.
What's up, buddy?
Aleem, I love that shirt, man. 100 millionaires. You are the man. Go ahead, brother. What's your question or your comment or statement?
I would like you to expound upon the principles of being moral, ethical, and legal in terms of partnership.
Awesome. And that's actually all in Mike's book. We're going to be talking a lot about it next week. I just talked to Jen. I said, let's get the pre-release out for Mike's book on partnerships so that next week we'll be able to actually offer that to everybody, and everybody at Generator Business Bootcamp will be able to offer that pre-release while we're there. So this is what Aleem said. He said, ethical, moral, and legal, all transactions. When you're seeking out partners, and this is in one of Mike's chapters, because I've been there while he's been writing the book. In his chapter, he talks about red flags. If somebody throws out a red flag like, oh, I got screwed by my ex-wife, she took advantage of me, not a good partner, because that's somebody who believes that something went wrong, that they were taken advantage of, right? They're not taking ownership. These are challenges that we look for in partners. If they would steal a bottle of water from Walmart and not go back and pay for it, not a good partner. If they're the ones who throw stuff under the cart and they try to walk out with the stuff under the cart and not pay for it, not a good partner. That's somebody those are little red flags. Hence, Karen, if that's making sense, right? If they do it on small things, they may do it on big things. Good, moral, ethical person who does things legally is going to do things at the smallest level and at the highest level. So when the stakes are there, when it's down to the wire, they're going to do things the right way. Now, there is a flexibility around this. There's a flexibility that can be misconstrued as, oh, you're breaking the laws. Real estate investors, we may break cultural laws, cultural rules. It's not nice to talk about somebody's house at a funeral. We may do that. And it's Karen, if you know if somebody might do that, right? Hey, can you help me buy that? Can you buy my house? Yeah, we're real estate investors. It's what we do. But that is legal, moral, and ethical to try to help somebody out in a moment when they need help the most. But society may perceive that as not a good thing. Does that make sense? We may break social construct. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. I see Larry Steinhaus is here. He breaks social construct all the time, right? With a lot of his marketing. He dresses like a freaking genie, right? He comes out there with a big crazy hat, but it's to get attention because he knows attention is what will serve his investors. It draws people in. This making sense, Aleem? Moral, ethical, and legal. If they cheated, like anybody who cheats, right? If you're, cheated on my spouse, I slept with another person, not interested. Right now, I know friends who have open relationships. Cool. You had that conversation, by all means, whatever, floats your boat. Like Dorina says, whatever moves your ship. But if somebody's cheating, if they felt like they were cheating, if they felt like they were wronging somebody and they don't apologize or don't want to change that about themselves, those are signs. Aleem, walk away, run. Do not do business with somebody who breaks legal, moral, ethical rules. It's valuable information. People may say,
thank you. Thank you, bro.
Absolutely, brother. People may say, oh, that person got rich because they did things unethically or illegally or morally. They will end up in jail, or the money will be taken away from them, or they will lose family members, or they will lose aspects to their life that they can never get back. But when you do things morally, ethically, and legally, you get to keep everything. In fact, you get more. You get an abundance of things because it was done all within a space that the universe will allow to continue to promote. Does that make sense? The reason you want to get cleanly rich, we don't say filthy rich anymore in the community, we say cleanly rich, rightly rich, is because it lasts. You get to keep it, right? Do things the right way, but do the right thing the right way at the right time, and you will always get the result that you're seeking. Awesome. Thank you, Aleem. I'm looking forward to seeing you, brother. Next up, we'll take a few more.
Yeah, so
I'll hang as long as you guys want it. Go ahead. Roland, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? What I wanted to say is that in real estate investing, I think that wholesalers and investors get a dirty name because they try to find undervalued properties and extract those values while they try to, improve the community. And sometimes that can be seen as gentrification, which people think is immoral. right? Or unethical, right? So there's always that fine line of making sure that when you're flipping a property or when you're investing in a property, that you're adding value to the community so that when you are getting paid, you can justify and say, hey, yes, I did buy this property for X amount. And yes, I am getting paid this amount, but look at the difference of what the property looked when I purchased it and look what it looks like now, and look how much better it makes the community, right? And so whenever you start talking about morality and things like ethics, sometimes you have to show people your value, or else they just think that you're coming to just, gentrify the community, and you look bad because of it. So that's all I have to say.
Let's give Roland a round of applause. You're absolutely right, Roland. We get a bad name. I have been called slumlord more times than any of my other friends. And that's because I have a social media account that I actually use, and I say I'm a landlord. Hence the camera, if you recognize, the more people know you, the more people might call you names. That's true. But I have also been called the best landlord that people have ever had from my tenants. I have not heard slumlord from my tenants. I have heard slumlord from evicted tenants, tenants who were not paying their rent, but I have never heard it from my tenants that were staying in the house that I was keeping because they paid their rent, they kept their apartment clean, and they were respectful to their other tenants. This concept of landlords getting a bad name, it's only because of landlords that we're buying properties from, isn't it, Roland? We're buying those properties from those slumlords because they've beat it up, they've run it down, they got the tenants aren't paying rent on time, and that's where investors are looking for opportunities. We actually buy property from slumlords and turn it into great areas, great properties. That is our whole strategy, right? We could say we motivated sellers, but really we're buying from slumlords, right? In the multifamily space anyway. I know that's what all my multifamily guys in the call are doing. All of my multifamily women on the call are doing, right? Hence the care if you're a multifamily woman, multifamily investor who's a female. Yeah, Alchemist ladies, rock it. Let's get it. There is a power with perception, being able to change that perception. That's what I think Roland was getting at, is if you seek to always add value to the community, then you must tell people that. You have to let them know, because otherwise they'll just think you were the same guy who was there before. Because sometimes we don't fix the outside of the building right away, do we? We're fixing the inside units, right? We're fixing our tenants units, we're fixing the hallways, we're fixing the inside of the building. So people will see you bought a building and they'll see the outside stays exactly the same. And they're thinking, what did they do? Oh, they're just the same slumlord as the last guy. But we know that inside that building, it is getting better because we focus on our tenants first. We focus on stabilizing the portfolio, stabilizing the unit, getting it clean, safe, rentable. And then, as funds come up, as we do well over a year, 2, 3 years, we fix the outside. And then it becomes obvious that we were, great landlords and not these slumlords, but it takes a little while, doesn't it? Give Roland another round of applause. Great job, brother. Roland's a property manager. He's on alchemiststation.com. If you want to connect with great people, Alchemist Nation is a great place to do it. Binti, I see your hand up. Go ahead, girl.
Hey, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So my question to basically anyone who would like to answer, I know what inspires and motivates me and gets me pumped up and ready for the next opportunity all the time, but I'm interested to collaborate thoughts on other people. Anyone willing to share what motivates you and what keeps your drive going?
You know what? Let's
That's my
fill the chat with
question.
that. I think
Yeah.
that's a good
I
one.
should
to
write
fill
that
the
in the
chat. What
question.
motivates
Yeah.
you?
Spam
And
it
I
so
would
I can
drop
screenshot.
that. I would drop that in Alchemist Nation as well, Binti. Go into alchemiststation.com and drop that as a question. You can use the polls section, but I would do that as a question. What motivates you? Because that's going to get a lot of engagement. And for everybody who is already on Alchemist Nation, go there and answer on Binti's comment.
I posted some questions similar to that. I always like thought-provoking questions, so you guys drop them in.
Go and comment on it then. If you got something similar, go and comment on it and then light it to the top. So you gotta comment on things or like things in order to get them back to the top of the platform. Sometimes, just like any social media, if you post at the wrong time, post on the wrong day, nobody's going to see it. So.
Yeah, the algorithm will just eat it up. Okay, copy. So I'm going to post this one and I'm going to comment on the others to raise engagement on it.
You got it, girl. And to answer that question, I'll let any of the coaches. Millionaires, what motivates you? What gets you up going? In fact, let's go with Mitch Jorsky, because I know Mitch is dying to share on this one.
I don't know. I don't know if you want to call on me. I'm going to give the answers that probably are non-traditional. Come on.
I think that's why we want to talk to you, Mitch.
Yeah, we want
non-traditional.
You know me, man. It all comes down to just freedom, right? My main commitment and my main need, which hashtag extra book of the week. I'm listening to The Mountain Is You right now, which is a ridiculously awesome book. And it talks about that, what are your core commitments? And your core commitments are driven by your core needs, and needs can be anything from, security to freedom to whatever. So freedom is definitely a core need for me, and more work doesn't equal freedom. So what drives me and keeps me motivated is basically having that freedom where I'm not a slave to a job and or a business. So like, for instance, because of that, I don't have to do more, but I do more when I want to. And, what keeps me motivated is essentially just being able to not only grow as a person myself, but also help others. Like, that's why I'm on this call, right? And that's why I jump in Monday nights when I can, and I'm at the event. More often than not, I'm not financially getting anything out of it. I just really like being around like-minded people and helping people. So that's part of a motivation, because, you're not going to sit around and just do nothing, right? But my motivation is different to an extent, I think, than Mike and Walter's, for example. Like, they, same thing. They love helping people. I mean, Walter's on a mission to build 100 millionaires, and I think everyone in this room is as well, right? But Walter and Mike also talk about being freaking billionaires. And I'm just like, that sounds like way too much work. I am not motivated to do that. Like, that sounds like you need to make a lot of businesses and do a lot of things. I want to just chill. Like, they joke and say, like, you're not going to just like sit on the beach and like drink margaritas. And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit on the beach and read books and trade crypto. Like, so know your motivation and where you want to get to. And you don't always need to have and get more, right? Sometimes being grateful for where you are and what you have is a great place to be.
Hello, let's give Mitch Jorski a round of applause. And
Thank
for anybody
you.
who's logging off, you guys, if you have other things to do today, by all means, this will be recorded, this will be out there. This makes great content, and this is really for the people who have questions. Me and the coach will stay on for maybe another 16 minutes and then jump off. I see Larry Steinhaus is unmuted his mic, so if you're easily offended, you may want to log off now.
Shut up, everybody. No, I'm only kidding. No, you and I are very much the same, Walter. We want to help people. You do it very humbly, and I do it in your face. And that's
I'll agree.
It's just a different style, and I love the idea that you guys got. I mean, I come on here. Sometimes I come on here. I don't get to sit here all day because I got to go do my radio show sometimes. So I don't get to sit here, and so I do the pre-show. And I love it the way you guys talk. It's fantastic. I've told you before, you impress me a lot. You're doing a great job, man. My goal is not to build 100 millionaires. I never came up with a number. I love the fact that you have a number that's 100 millionaires. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm gonna tell you something else. I find it funny because everybody wants to have freedom. So I guess you could call it. I retired. I don't know when was I? Maybe 50, 49, 50, whatever. I retired, and after 3 months of watching Dr. Phil, I couldn't stand it anymore.
That's all that's on TV. I know. I love Dr. Phil.
Right.
I modeled my whole look after him.
Yeah. So I decided, I opened up investor schooling. I started buying more properties. I started buying other things. I started doing funds. And now it's funny. Now every once in a while I go, what the hell did I do? I don't have a minute of freedom. And then I realized that I have all the minutes of freedom I want. All I have to do is just say, too bad, I'm not going to talk to you for a week. But it's really weird. It's a weird balance. And then I'm sitting here talking to you online because at the moment I have nothing to do, but I want to hear you. Do you have a question for me?
Let's give Larry Steinhaus a round of applause, because he donated a course called Investor Schooling to Alchemist Nation. And he's not just donated the course, he's continued to add to his course. So Larry's, part of this idea of course-based communities, where he continuously is building a community on Alchemist Nation that is based on investor schooling. You're learning how to do options trading, learning how to invest in real estate, and taking it to the next level. He and I jumped on a call. Like you said, we're financially free, but he and I jumped on a call, not for 15 minutes. It was a 15-minute call that turned into an hour. Because Larry said, we were starting to put ideas together, bounce ideas off each other, strategic partnerships. Let's give Larry Steinhaus a round of applause. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. You are an alchemist. You get the mindset. You even dress like an alchemist sometimes.
Sometimes.
And I'm going to get you on the podcast.
I think we're all insane. Yeah, we got to do the podcast, both of us. You have to be on mine, I'll be on yours.
I like it, brother. And for anybody who has donated a course to Alchemist Nation, if I haven't put you on the podcast yet, please send Darina or Amy a message. No, send it to Felly. Sorry. I got to reframe, put the right women to the right tasks. Amy is in sales, consultation. Darina is in events, and Felly is my personal executive assistant. She is amazing. So send Felly a message if you haven't been on the podcast yet and you'd like to be on the podcast. You're going to send me an email, which my first name and last name @gmail.com. Don't worry about inundating me. Felly is a beast. She takes care of all of it. Mike, I saw your hand was up, brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Mitch was saying about freedom. I got Brenda standing right here, and I said, what's my motivation? She's like, freedom. And then when it comes to Mitch, he says, oh, you guys want to be billionaires. But trust me, I don't want to work any harder than Mitch does. I want to sit on a beach, but I feel like hanging around with you, Walter, has made it so that we can get to billionaire status by having the right partnerships. I wasn't doing this to plug my book. That's what's been happening, is that I've been finding more and more people to help me get to higher and higher levels. So it's all effortless. So find the right people who have motivation similar to yours and just go get it. And that's what we're doing. We're stacking. I wish you had your stacks of cash. So
I wish I had my stacks of cash. It's so weird when I travel.
Stacking it. But yeah, you can have everything you want as long as you help everybody else get what they want. So we're doing that. And that's what I try to do for my partners. That's not what I try to do. That's what I do for my partner. Amen.
Powerful affirmation. Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause.
Yeah.
And Mike, we know, I think everybody on here knows, you're not the kind of guy to plug a book. You're not the kind of guy to plug anything really. You don't really sell, you just kind of provide service. The reason you wrote that book is because I begged you to write that book because you were so good at partnership. So just so if anybody's questioning why Mike wrote a partnership book, because he's like, I really like to write a book on the spirit, on the mindset, on the spiritual connection with money. I was like, that's great, Mike. But what the community really needs is partnerships. And since you have like a dozen partnerships that are where you make all your money, that's probably what you should be writing on to serve the community at a deeper level. So
exactly. And the only other thing is this is all just motivation to go out and have sushi with everybody in the community. That's it. It's freedom and eat a bunch of sushi. Vegan, of course.
Will work for sushi. I want to open up to more questions. And while you're getting your hands up, I'll just say, like, Mike's partnership book is cool because what he just told me, he said, Walter got me thinking a billionaire. I don't think I'm the one that made him think it's possible. It's because he's actually hanging out with a billionaire. Raby El Batrali is, a huge inspiration on me, Mike, Terry, Mitch, because we're all in a mastermind together with Ken Walls. And 3 or 4 times he's brought Ramy in to have a conversation with us. And Ramy has told me his 3 secrets to creating billion dollar ideas. And I've shared them with this community. Hands can if you've heard me share those secrets with this community before. Hands can if you'd like me to share them one more time, because you might have forgotten them. All right. No worries. So first, he said, you must believe it's possible. And it's so easy to disregard this one, right? But he said, you first must believe it's possible, because most people don't. And that's why most people never become, millionaires, let alone billionaires. And second, the idea must be a $1 billion idea. It must be sexy enough it must be, at the end of the idea, it must be worth $1 billion, right? Like, it must be big enough to be worth $1 billion. If it's not, then there's no point in going any further. And then it must be visual. So it must be sexy enough. It means visually, like, you can see it. Think rendering. You must be able to have a rendering of the idea, or at least a brochure. All these crypto platforms that have exploded are because they have a freaking landing page that says invest here with an explanation, their white paper. And care if you know what I'm talking about when I say visual. It must be visual. Elon Musk, when he was creating the first space route, the Falcon, he did not create the Falcon. He created a model of the Falcon to raise capital from investors. And then he took that capital and built the Falcon. Hands to if this is making more sense when I say it's got to be sexy. You got to have a visual representation. The third is you must tell everyone what you're doing and show them what you're doing. And eventually those people that you tell will say, well, have you talked to this person? 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 And eventually, if you're in Pennsylvania, they get you to Larry Steinhaus, right? If you're in Portland, they're going to get you to Dr. Terry Wager. And if you're in Rhode Island, they're going to get you to Michael Shine. If you're in Florida, they're going to get you to Doug or Mitch or myself. And they're going to move you to the right people. If you need a book, they're going to get you to Jen. Hence, care if this is making sense, right? Like, if you believe it's possible, that will help you do step 2 and 3. And if you have something visual that you can show, right? Anybody who's ever tried to raise capital who doesn't have investor package ends up with no capital. And if you ever tried doing that, right? Hey, give me money for what? Why am I giving you money? Doesn't make sense. And the third one, you got to talk to a ton of people. Sometimes you don't, right? Sometimes you just call Steve Sims, and Steve Sims knows everybody. Call Doug McGurk. To be real, let's be real here. If you call Doug McGurk, he knows everybody. He's got some sort of connection. Here's what I'll ask. If you call Doug, please find a way for him to get paid. Doug is notorious for having all these great relationships, making all these great connections, and never asking for a dime. In fact, saying no to the money. So my new affirmation for Doug is Doug always says yes. So please encourage Doug to say yes if you ask him for a connection. And Heidi's love language is money. So she's saying, hell yeah.
Hey,
Like, sorry, go ahead, brother.
Walter, I just want to say, if anybody wants to come to Los Angeles, California, Beverly Hills, Ramy is having like a charity event for the Think and Grow Rich Foundation, Sunday, the 10th at his house. So you get to hang out in a billionaire's house. It's only like $550 to hang out with a billionaire and lots of other authors and stuff like that. So if you're interested, I'll put my link in the thing and you can, I got to get the information. I don't have it right now, but if you want to come and hang out with us in LA, that includes you, Walter. Come on, take that flight. Take that flight.
I'm already thinking about it. I'll be in Texas the 7th to the 9th, and then I might have to fly to LA with you. Because I've hung with Rami virtually, but I know there's a big difference when you hang with them in person. So I'm probably gonna do that with you, Mike. It's not about the money.
Arena
it's about the freaking extra day of traveling. One more place, but totally worth it. So business boot camp, Generate Business Boot Camp. What is the link? Can we drop that one more time before we log off? And for anybody who has more questions for any of the millionaires, for anybody who is on this call, we are all on alchemistnation.com. You can either send us direct messages, which is okay if you're scared to let other people know what you're thinking. But what helps the community grow is dropping your questions out in public and just saying, how do I raise capital? How do I negotiate with the seller? Is it legal to create an LLC or a trust? Fear is my biggest thing. What's your biggest fear? Asking those questions and getting that engagement on Alchemist Nation will allow us to serve you on a bigger level. I've seen Larry out there answering questions, Mike, Terry, Mark, Frank's out there, Doug's out there, Mitch is out there, myself, obviously, Amy's covering it, Jen's covering it. So there's a lot of us who are keeping an eye. I've seen Brian Mazzilli, I've seen Kim Harvey, Kim Rodriguez, and I'm going to get John because I see John's in the car right there. He's listening. He's going to get on Alchemist Nation, all millionaires and highly experienced professionals. To the 54 people who stayed on this long, by the way, that's an hour and 25 minutes. For some of the mentorship students, members, graduates, that's an hour and 45 minutes. You've been hanging out with us. Let's give you a big round of applause. I appreciate it. I love spending time with you. This weekend is 4th of July. Let's go and be grateful for our independence. Most of us live in a country where we said, F you to Britain, and they said, you can have it. And for anybody in the Philippines, all of our team in the Philippines and Uganda and Pakistan, come visit us in America. It is as good as they say. We are a little fatter, but that's okay. We do make a little bit more, and our housing is extremely expensive. But if you learn how to make money like an alchemist, no big deal. Bring your family over. It's a blast over here. Now, I will say your country has a lot better weather. It's much nicer out there than some of our spots. Our very nice spots are very expensive. Hands care, if you've been in America a little while and you think Philippines might be a nice place to visit, it is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful out there. So thank you for your commitment to your success. Thank you to all the millionaires. Give all the millionaires a round of applause for showing up, for staying on, for answering questions, for all the donations they've made to Alchemist Nation through building their courses and responding to your questions. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And for everybody who's committed to becoming millionaires, I will see you at Generator Business Bootcamp in August. I will be there. If you're not there, you square. You already knew it. I'm just letting you know now. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best. I'll see you guys.
The best.
The blast.
Bye, everybody. Love you all. Peace. Have a great 4th.